Tottenham fans, we were so close to a completely positive team update today, and then it got slightly ruined after. We've got updates on Mohamed Kudus, James Maddison, Bentancur, Polina, Solanke, and then one on Vicario as well. Let's get into the team update news, and yeah, it's mostly good. Haven't seen me before, my name's Harry, I'm a Spurs content creator, and I've been supporting Spurs for 28 years. I've got 30,000 followers on TikTok, and now I'm on YouTube, so we'll be doing videos, shorts as well. Go check them out. Now let's get into this team update. As far as updates go, it's been a pretty good day for Tottenham Hotspur. Dominic Solanke is set to return against Forest after he has some sort of hip issue. João Polina is back in training and available, so he'll be back potentially, I think, on the bench for the Forest game. Mohamed Kudus could be back with the squad in 10 days, which is absolutely huge. Rodrigo Bentancur is edging closer after his injury, and this huge one, James Maddison, could potentially play a part in the end of the season for Tottenham Hotspur, which I didn't think was going to happen. Of course, the whole thing couldn't be positive. We did have one injury, and it's a pretty big one, and that is Vicario, who's been suffering from hernia, and he has to have hernia surgery, and it's going to be after the Nottingham Forest game. He's potentially been having hernia since, I think it was the Fulham game, or between the Fulham and Palace game, which, if you've ever had hernia or ever heard of it, it's a really, really nasty one where you get pains in your abdominals and stuff like that. And to be a goalkeeper and have hernia is pretty crazy. So he's going to have surgery. He's going to be out for a month, but they've kind of planned it around the 3-week break that Tottenham have got now after the Nottingham Forest game. So let's go through all the players. Having Dominic Solanke back, I don't think he's going to start on Sunday, but to have him on the bench and ready and available is really, really good. He had a hip issue, which, for God's sake, he never had any kind of injury issues when he was at Bournemouth. Now he's had hip issues, he's had ankle issues, the lot. But yeah, having him on the bench and potentially where we need to score goals and put this game to bed potentially, or get goals back in the Nottingham Forest game, to have him potentially come on in the 70th minute could be absolutely massive. I'm really, really gutted that he hasn't had an injury-free season, because for me, he is a key part of Tottenham. The way he presses, he's so good, and I think that he is massively underrated. Lots of people said that, how is he in the England squad? I mean, for me, he is a great striker, great backup to have, and he completely deserves to be in that England team. Polina coming back from the concussion injury. Obviously, he had it worse than Romero. And yeah, that's a big one to have. A bit of experience in that midfield. I don't think he's going to be starting again in the Forest game, but to have that experience come on, potentially if we're winning a game, and hopefully we are on Sunday, it will be really, really good. He puts a shift in. Listen, he can be limited at certain times in the midfield, especially with his passing range and going forward. I think that's been a big issue. Whenever we've had the midfield together, we haven't really had a progressive passer. So to have him back, but listen, his tackling, I know that the passes aren't great, but the tackling, the passion, everything else, it could be absolutely massive on Sunday, depending on what situation we're in. Bentancur is also coming back from his injury, and obviously I think a lot of people have been critical of him because, once again, having that progressive pass in the midfield is so key in any football team, and we haven't really had it with Thomas Frank. So when it was Polina and Bentancur, they were getting absolutely slated because it was constant sideways and backwards football. But him coming back, once again, experience, we're going to need these in the final games leading into this relegation scrap that we're unfortunately in, and having him on the bench or starting is absolutely massive. And yeah, as much as people want to be critical of him, and I've been critical of him, having that experience will be big. Now on to the two big names. Mohamed Kudus potentially coming back into the Tottenham team for the Sunderland game after the international break. This is absolutely massive. For me, we haven't had a proper right winger since he was injured. I mean, we got rid of Brendan Johnson, we didn't replace him, so then when Mohamed Kudus got injured, I believe it was in the Sunderland game, then there was like, oh, so what do we do? And yeah, we haven't really solved that. And for me, it is absolutely massive. Listen, Sousa and Porro have been playing right wing. Now, they've done an okay job, a decent job, but imagine having Mohamed Kudus back in that right wing situation. You've got to remember as well that Mohamed Kudus hasn't played with the likes of a Maddison, a Solanke, because Solanke was injured during his time when he was fit. Yeah, Colin Moani, I don't think he's really played with him either. And all these different directions where we've been struggling in the attack, having Mohamed Kudus on that right-hand side is absolutely massive. And people can say, oh, he hasn't really been scoring goals. Look at the goals. Look at the assists he has scored, though. It's absolutely massive, because he had the one at Ellen Road, which now, that 3 points at Ellen Road looks absolutely massive, by the way, because not only have people struggled to get points there, but obviously they're also in relegation scraps. So if it was to lose that game or draw that game, even though we played pretty terrible against Leeds, if I remember, they had a few chances early on, having Mohamed Kudus in them games completely changed it. And I think, for me, we look so different. People say that, oh, he hasn't been banging in so many goals and stuff, but it's not just that, it's the defensive work as well. He's so strong on the ball, and when he gets back on that right-hand side to support the likes of Porro or whoever's playing right back, he's been absolutely brilliant. And him coming back is absolutely massive. And I think he's going to be one of the big reasons, if we do stay up, that, you know, he's going to be in that space and in that right-hand side. And, yeah, hopefully he stays fit for the rest of the season. And then the biggest one of all, I think, is James Maddison actually coming back for the end of the season. Now, don't get me wrong, they're saying end of April, early May, but that still means that it could be 2 or 3 games where he's on the bench, could potentially come on, and having that kind of ability on the bench is absolutely massive. Listen, he works so hard. You can tell he's Tottenham through and through, and don't get me wrong, he is made of glass. He does get injured lots and lots of times, but to have the ability that he does with the passing range, and once again, we have really, really struggled with a player in that midfield, and we said at the start of the season that we needed a cam. We got Xavi Simons, but when we haven't had that midfield pack of Maddison and Xavi, and we're struggling to make progressive passes, it makes you wonder why we haven't scored as many goals and haven't attacked very, very well, where we've had all these games where, you know, the GA's been 0.23, 0.25, whatever these games are, have been absolutely terrible when going forward. And for me, having him back into the squad, as I say, I don't want to obviously rush him back in the sense of starting him straight away. Maybe he will be fit enough, who knows, but the idea that we can have someone like James Maddison on the bench coming onto games, huge. So, so big. When it comes to Vicario, listen, I've been very critical of him. The distribution from goal for me has been really, really poor. I think his attitude at certain points has been really, really poor as well. But I'll tell you what, with a hernia and playing through that, and especially if they're saying that it's between Fulham and Crystal Palace, because there was rumours that Kinski was going to start in front of him in the Crystal Palace game, have to say fair play, because if you're having to fight through that pain to then play, especially in the Liverpool and Atletico Madrid game, like as a goalkeeper especially, like you've got to dive around, stuff like that. And listen, people can say, oh, maybe it's not as severe. Like hernia's a hernia. Like it's not a nice thing, to the point where he's going to have surgery. He's going to be out for a month. He's trying to push through the pain to get through to the international break and then have that month off. So he's probably going to miss maybe the Sunderland game and potentially one after that. But yeah, I mean, like I say, I can't really say anything about his commitment and passion now, because if he's playing through that kind of pain for our club, you could argue that, is this because maybe Brandon Austin and obviously Kinski now isn't really trusted? You can argue that completely, but yeah, you can't match the passion and the fight that he's shown clearly. And you know what? He made some amazing saves, especially in the Atletico Madrid game and the Liverpool game. Like, you can't really argue it. I know he had the mistake for the free kick, but Jesus, hernia. That's a nasty one. Really, really nasty one. Positive news for Spurs finally. So what do you guys think? Like, subscribe and all that jazz. And yeah, up the Spurs.